part, she's saying that I got my income tax loan back, my income tax back around this time. But I guess she would know because she worked for the IRS at that time and she was going through my stuff. Yeah, she has my Social Security number. So that's how she found out when I got my taxes.
Ms. Carson.
This is the plaintiff, Trina Carson. She says the defendant is her younger sister, and sister or no sister, she wants the money she loaned her paid back. The defendant makes over $60,000 a year, so paying her back the $701 shouldn't be a hardship. And if she has to sue her sister for it, that's just what she's doing today. This is the defendant, Nika Beckworth. She says she doesn't owe her sister any money because she never asked for any money. It was a gift. And now her two-timing sister's trying to turn it into a loan because she took a Facebook post of hers personally. She's accused of dissing her sister.
All parties, please raise your right hand. People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Trina Carson, you are suing your sister, Nika Beckworth, for $701 that you say she owes you, that you loaned her, and she just seems to refuse to pay. Tell me what happened.
Okay. She took a job in Colorado, and she was in a bind. And I didn't want my sister living in her car, so she had called me on Facebook and asked me could she borrow $115 for the deposit on the apartment. And I asked her, I said, do you have enough money to get down there? She said, I got a little money. I said, well, I'm going to cash app you this $200 for the deposit. Okay, I'll pay you back. She said, it's going to be a minute. I'll send you with $25 here and there, but I'll pay you back. So that was on February the 12th. February the 18th, she called me. She said that the apartment she applied for, she didn't get it. And she asked me, could she borrow this other $500 for the deposit for the apartment rent.
For a different apartment?
The apartment she tried to get, they gave it to someone else. And so she went looking for apartments, and she found this apartment here, and it was in her bracket. Okay. And she said, I'll pay you back when I get my income taxes, which was then on the 18th.
Wait, this is all in 2020 or 2021?
2020.
All right, and so she tells you, I'll pay you back when I get my income taxes, which would be, what, a week later, 2 weeks later, what?
A couple of days later.
Okay, so go on.
So on the February the 18th, I wired her cash after $501, and I put loan for apartment. She said, I'll pay you back when I get my taxes. So she called me February the 20th, said she didn't get her money. They took her taxes. And I was like, what they have to do with me? Because I still want my money. You promised to pay me back. So it went on and on, I'm going to pay you back, I'm going to pay you back. But she never did. So this what brought me to this point of
Ms. Beckworth, what's happening here?
Okay. What's happening is I got a job promotion that took me to Colorado. And I didn't have the $115 for the application fee. So I asked my son, he didn't have it. I asked my godmother, she didn't have it. So I called Trina through Facebook. And I asked her, can I borrow $115? And she said, sure. Next thing I know, she cashed at me $200. I only asked her for $115. And,
so take the extra money, put it in a corner, and when you pay her back the $115, you take that money from the corner, and then you just pay her back. What's the big deal? That's actually very nice. That's not a bad thing.
I did send her money, and she sent it back, she said, for lunch. Every time I would turn around, like, she would send me money without me asking. And so the apartment that I was trying to get, they gave it to someone else. And so Trina just so happened to call me because I was doing runs for my store. Next thing I know, she said, well, what do you need? I was crying because I was upset because I own a home in Las Vegas. So I'm not used to paying application fees. So when I found out that I had to have this extra $500, and she said, well, don't cry. Don't cry. She said, what do you need? And I told her, she said, well, I'm going to send it to you. And I said, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay you back.
Well, we're talking about $701 that, according to your sister, has been owed for over a year and a half. And the $501 that she sent you on the Cash App clearly says in the Cash App that it's a loan. Did you ever check and find out that she got it and that she was lying to you by saying she didn't get it?
No, how I found out she lied to me was when she stated that she had to close her bank account and that they sent her money back. But then she had told me she had got someone else to call to find out what happened.
I was able to use her social security number to check her income tax status, and I found out she was lying about the IRS taking her money. She actually did get a refund. That's what you said in the complaint. I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. You can get into a lot of trouble doing that.
Welcome back to the People's Court. I'm Harvey Levin. The plaintiff says that she loaned her sister money and now the louse won't pay her back. But the defendant says the money was a gift. She never asked to borrow anything and can't believe her double-crossing sister is suing her. Let's listen.
When I was trying to send her money, she would Cash App it back to me. So far as her keep saying that I don't know when I'm going to pay her back, and so far she's saying that I got my income tax loan back, my income tax back around this time, but I guess she would know because she worked for the IRS at that time and she was going through my stuff. Yeah, she has my social security number, so that's how she found out when I got my taxes.
Ms. Carson, would you like to respond to that?
That would be, I do know her social security number. Our numbers are 2 digits different. But I knew that she was getting her taxes because she told me she was going to get it February.
Did you ever check and find out that she got it and that she was lying to you by saying she didn't get it?
No, how I found out she lied to me was when she stated that she had to close her bank account and that they sent her money back. But then she had told me she had got someone else to call to find out what happened.
I was able to use her social security number to check her income tax status, and I found out she was lying about the IRS taking her money. She actually did get a refund. That's what you said in the complaint. I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. You can get into a lot of trouble doing that.
But see, I knew her social security number, but she told me prior that they took her money. But that what made me look at it. I had got fired. I had quit the job.
Listen to me, Ms. Beckworth, why do you not owe the money?
I've been trying to send her money. At that time, what happened was when I was last year, I got robbed at my store, and I ended up coming back home. So that put me in a bind. So when I was trying to send her money, she would send the money back. I wasn't able to send her like $100 or $200 when I was able to send her like $25 or whatever. But she told me that can pay her back just as long as I'm trying. And when I was trying, it wasn't good enough for her. So this is why we are here.
According to her, she was trying to pay you back little by little and you wouldn't accept it, that she would send it to you and you would reject it. What's the deal with that?
Now, the $200, I told her I don't mind accepting that in the small amount. But the $501, I wanted it just like I gave it to her, $501. But she kept sending me 25. That's all I got. That's all I got. But then you can go on Facebook, you here and there, you going out and things like that. So if you can do that, then you can give me my money.
Where would you see her going out to, Ms. Carson, that would make you angry that she wasn't paying back?
She would post on Facebook that she was going out. But then my thing was when she quit the job and went back home, I sent her a message and saying, since you're not paying 2 rents now, can I get my money? She sent me $25. And I was not going to accept that.
Why not?
Because that wasn't what we agreed upon.
Okay, but, here's the thing. Hold on one second. Let's look at the text between you guys. So your defense is, I tried paying her back, but she wouldn't accept it. but when you come back home, she texts you like a lot and says, you asked to borrow the money, now I'm going to ask you to pay me back. And I don't want $25. I want all my money back like I gave it to you. $200 for the deposit, $501 for the first month's rent. And you say to her, $25, that's all I've got to give you. And this is August. And then she says, wait a minute, you're just getting ready to come back to Jackson? That takes a lot more than $25. Like I said, $25 is all I go. That's all I got. You don't know what I had going on and coming to Jackson. That part had nothing to do with you. Well, it's kind of an attitude from the person who you owe money to. Then at the end of September, she says, you don't have rent anymore. Can I please get my money? You don't answer her. Just completely ghost her. A month later in October, she says to you that she's going to file a small claims case, and you ghost her there too. You don't talk to her. What is really going on? What is the problem between you and your sister, Ms. Beckworth?
Okay. The problem is the fact that she knows my Social Security number. She took me to another different place. The checking of my Social Security,
you got mad at that.
Taxes.
But, you know, the bottom line is you owe her the money. You have zero defense to it. You need to pay the lady $701. Verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck to everybody.
So the judge orders the defendant to pay her sister back the $701 she owes her. Ms. Beckworth, you going to do it?
I pay her back, and that'll be the last time she get anything from me. Today was the last time that she see my face and she heard my voice.
Well, that's a shame. That's a shame.
No, it's not.
Ms. Carson,
No.
how do you feel about what she just said? How do you react to that?
I didn't speak to her before I loaned her the money, so it don't even bother me.
Well, she's going to pay you the money back. You're going to get that. That's why you filed a lawsuit against her. Do you feel like you've lost a sister in this?
Like I said, we weren't talking prior. She's in Vegas, I'm in Mississippi, so it is what it is.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry for you. That'll wrap it up for the case, and obviously wraps it up for a relationship between two sisters, which is really very sad.
Doug, as you can see, the texts here are everything. They turn the case. If you text somebody and make it clear that something is a loan, that so protects you. If you just are loosey-goosey and you never put in writing whether it's a loan or a gift, you're going to have problems and you'll probably end up in court.
When there's a fire and a tenant still owes money from past rent due, should the tenant get the security deposit back after the fire when they can no longer live in the apartment?
Well, obviously, the landlord has an obligation to provide a habitable place, so if no one can live there, they don't have to pay rent during that time.
Right.
But from what I understand from the question, they were already pre-fire owing money.
They're behind
They're
rent,
owing,
and then the place burns down.
Yeah, that doesn't magically wipe out your debt, your prior debt on the rent.
Right.
So the landlord can keep it for unpaid rent.
Right. Hopefully the tenant didn't start the fire or anything.
Yeah, well, that makes it even worse, but that's actually whether or not that's the case.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got a situation like that where the place has burned down. That's what we call impossibility of performance.
Yeah, the landlord can't. Yeah.
There's no way that they are now bound to
But they don't have to wipe out a prior debt that has nothing to do with the fire. You're going to have to pay that.
This is the plaintiff, Christina Taylor. She says she's a single mother of 6 kids under the age of 12. She purchased a car from the defendant, and the guy scammed her. That's right, the car he sold her had a bad transmission. He should be ashamed of himself for trying to take advantage of her, and she's here suing him for the $4,800 she's owed. This is the defendant, Jamil Atik. He says he sold the plaintiff a perfectly good car. She drove it away, and then who knows what she did with it. Bottom line, he doesn't owe this woman a full refund because he did nothing wrong and is prepared to defend himself today in this court. He's accused of taking advantage of a mom.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
I mean, I have 6 kids that's under the age of 12 in my house. So 5 of them is mine, and 1 of them is my grandchild. And he was like, oh, okay, no problem. I was like, because I do camping trips and stuff like that with the kids. He was like, oh, I do stuff too. He was like, da-da-da, no problem.
Okay, so you test drove the car, and this is a 2010 Saturn Outlook.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so did you have it checked out by a mechanic?
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff bought a car from the defendant to take her 6 kids around town and says she got scammed. The car was a piece of junk. But the defendant says he sold the plaintiff a perfectly good car. She test drove it, and he owes her nothing. It's the case of taking advantage of mom.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, you are suing Mr. Atik for $4,800 that you say you paid him for a car that has turned out to be a lemon. Talk to me. What happened?
Okay, I went onto Marketplace, and
Marketplace. You're talking about Facebook Marketplace?
Facebook Marketplace, and I seen the vehicle, and I contacted him through Messenger. He was like, okay, he'll tell me what time to come see it. I'm like, okay, fine. So I get to the car. I walked around it, looked at it. It had like a few little flosses here to there. So we get in the car to drive it. But as I'm getting in the car, I was telling him, I was like, I feel something like a pause in the car, something's like wrong, like the gears changing from 20 to 30 to 40. And I'm like, he was like, just get on the highway. It's nothing. That's just that wheel thing because the wheel pressure tire gauge light was on. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get on the highway. He was like, it might just need air in the tires. I'm like, fine. So as we drive and we talk and we have a conversation, I say, yeah, because I need a reliable vehicle because the car I have, no longer works. It's like out of commission, basically. And I was like, I need a reliable vehicle. I like doing stuff with my kids. I have 6 kids that's under the age of 12 in my house. So 5 of them is mine and 1 of them is my grandchild. And he was like, oh, okay, no problem. I was like, because I do camping trips and stuff like that with the kids. He was like, oh, I do stuff too. He was like, da-da-da, no problem.
Okay, so you test drove the car, and this is a 2010 Saturn Outlook.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so did you have it checked out by a mechanic?
Not at that time. When I told him, I was like, I asked him, I was like, is anything wrong with the I asked him questions like this. I said, anything wrong with the transmission or the coils? And he was like, huh? I said, because the car my cousin just drove up here with, her coils is bad. She got to get new coils. And I was like, that's costing money. I can't afford that. He was like, no, you don't got to worry about this car. It's SUV. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But I was like, well, I'm going to still have it checked, maybe at a transmission and stuff or anything to just get checked because that's the stuff I do, like to make sure. So he was like, oh, you can do whatever you want. I'm confident in my work, in my vehicles.
Okay, so did you have it checked out?
Yes.
When did you have it checked out?
A few days later.
After you bought it?
Yeah.
Well, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. The testimony continues.
She said she went to a transmission place to get it checked out, and they said that she needs the transmission. I explained to her that's insane because I put thousands of miles on the car. You go to any place, they're going to tell you need a transmission.
Okay.
You go to a tire shop for a flat tire, they're going to push 4 brand new tires on you.
Right.
It's just the nature of the transmission shop.
The plaintiff is upset because she feels like she was ripped off by the defendant. But he says he didn't rip off anyone. He has no idea what this woman did with the car when she bought it. And he hasn't given her a refund, period. Let's listen.
You know, the idea is that you check it out before you buy it, right? So that you decide if you want to buy it. That's kind of the concept. Mr. Atik, she's complaining because according to you, what, the transmission's blown?
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay. So, Mr. Atik, what's going on with the transmission of the car?
Just rewinding a little bit. I told her everything that I personally knew about the vehicle. I told her that I've put thousands of miles on the vehicle, and I've never had any issues with it. It's a used car, and I told her no used car is perfect. The lady told me she is mechanically inclined and that she does this and that she's done work on cars before with her uncle and her family. I told her she's more than welcome to go get her uncle and bring her uncle with her. In no way, shape, or form did I force her or pressure her to buy the car. I even offered to drive the car to her personal mechanic later on that evening.
And what did she say when you offered that?
She never gave me a straight answer. She had the money with her. She just kept saying, I have the money with me. I'm ready to buy it now. I don't want anybody to buy it before me. At that time, I told her, well, I wasn't ready to make a sale right now. I didn't even bring the title with me. I never lost communication with her. I never lied to her. I told her everything to the best of my knowledge. She said, go get the title. I have the money in hand ready to buy it. At that time, there's nothing really I could do to push her away and not buy it.
Well, why would you want to? You want to sell the car. So you had posted it for $4,900 and then you agreed to sell it for $4,800. So she paid you cash and then you signed over the title. And then when is the next time you hear from her?
I heard from her. This was This was February 12th. I heard from her February 16th. She said she had went to a transmission place to get it checked out, and they said that she needs a transmission. I explained to her that's insane because I've put thousands of miles on the car. You go to any place, they're going to tell you need a transmission.
Okay.
You go to a tire shop for a flat tire, they're going to push 4 brand new tires on you.
Right.
It's just the nature of the transmission shop. It just... I mean,
okay. Had she mentioned that, it feels like it's stalling when it's shifting between 20 and 30 and 40?
Yes, she never mentioned it stalling. She said, what is that? I told her, I don't know. This is how the car drives. It doesn't have any issues. She said, what is this light? I said, that's a tire pressure monitoring sensor. One of the tire pressures are low. We can stop somewhere and get air. Yes.
Okay.
Did she ask me, is this transmission blown or anything? I don't recall. And if she did ask me, I would have said no, because it's in my knowledge that there is no issues with the transmission.
Okay. So what happened? What made you...
thousands of miles.
Thank you, Mr. Atik. Ms. Taylor, what made you decide to take the car 4 days later to a mechanic?
I know. When I got home, I called and tried to schedule appointments, and then only opening they had was that day.
Okay. And so, but was there, so you were just having your new car checked out. It wasn't that there was a problem?
Because the thing is, like, my uncle always told me, go get everything checked out, get the system flushed out, get it cleaned, and then the car was, it will run great. But like I said, when I first met him, we just had a few conversations. It was about,
I don't need to know what your conversations were about. What I'm curious about is, you ended up taking it to a mechanic 4 days after you bought it. And what did the mechanic tell you?
The mechanic, the first thing he said was, I have the report right here. He said that the transmission pressure fluid switch 1, 3, 4, and 5 was bad.
Okay.
And he said that will have to be a rebuilt engine. And then he said he had a paper, he wrote on the bottom of the paper and said that the engine oil was low and it's black. Like the fluids there is black, but the transmission oil is
I'm curious whether you have anything in writing from the mechanic or you just have these pictures.
No, I have this.
And what is that? Is that from the mechanic?
This is from Capital Transmission.
Okay.
I also had a second opinion done beginning of this week from AMCO.
Okay, and I see that one. That's interesting. $3,975 to do what?
To fix the transmission.
Do you see why it's important to take a car to the mechanic beforehand? Before you buy it?
I understand now.
Right. Because what kind of warranty do you believe that you have at this juncture with Mr. Atik? Why were you saying, are you still going to get a new transmission?
Because verbally we was talking in the car. Like I said, when I asked him about the transmission, he was like, nothing's wrong with the transmission. If that's the case, I'll get a transmission. That's what he told me.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Did this defendant heartlessly rip off a plaintiff who had 6 kids in the car that he sold? Or is she just trying to get a free transmission? Let's go back into the courtroom and find out.
When I purchased the vehicle, I didn't even know his last name. His last name on the marketing place was a whole different name.
Okay.
I have to have somebody help me find him with that last name.
Okay, that's a bad thing. That's not why you wanted to buy the car so badly. Like, if you don't even know the person you're buying the car from, that's, yeah, okay.
This is afterwards.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, everybody hustles afterwards. But you call him and you tell him, hey, there's a problem with the transmission. In fact, you text him is what you do. Hey, the transmission is bad. This is 4 days after you purchased it. You said it wasn't. Just got it checked. Can you get in contact? And then you take a picture and show him your report. Are you still going to get a new transmission for the vehicle or give me the money back? And he says, get a new transmission? I'm not doing any of that. Why were you saying, are you still going to get a new transmission?
Because verbally we was talking in the car. Like I said, when I asked him about the transmission, he was like, nothing's wrong with the transmission. If that's the case, I'll get a transmission. That's what he told me. Verbally when we was driving in the car.
Okay, watch this. Mr. Atik, did you ever tell her you'd buy her a brand new transmission if there was something wrong?
Oh,
yeah, that doesn't sound believable. I have to be honest with you.
I'll
tell you what, I'll get you a transmission, and so I'll take every penny you gave me and spend it on your transmission. I haven't known him very long, but that doesn't sound like him.
I have a text message that said, oh, I didn't say a new transmission. I said I'll get you a used one.
Well, while you're looking, according to you, Mr. Atik, when she calls you and starts complaining that it's having transmission problems, she wanted her money back, what did you tell her?
I told her there's no need to put a new transmission in an 11-year-old car. Because at first, I don't mind working with her. I don't mind helping her get a transmission, a used transmission at a reasonable price. And I told her I have mechanics that have way reasonable prices.
Were you planning on paying for it?
No, I was planning on helping her.
Okay.
I was planning on helping her. If she was short $400 or $500, I would help her. If my mechanic needed a few extra dollars, I would pay for it out of pocket. I was going to do the shopping for her and make sure she got a good deal on a used transmission.
And then what happened to change your mind on all that?
The constant aggression, the constant, she just kept throwing it in my face and made it seem that I played her intentionally, that I got her, that I robbed her. And
Ms. Taylor, you understand that there's no warranty on a used car. There's no lemon law on a used car in a private party sale.
I understand now. But the thing was, when he said he was going to help me out, he was like, no, I'll get a used one and have it put in for cheaper. That's what he told me.
Yeah, that's fine. So I guess you should have taken him up on it and been nicer and not had other people call him. Because at the end of the day, now I am left with just deciding the lawsuit. That's all I can do. I can't make him help you. I just have to decide whether or not he owes you something because you have some kind of warranty that he violated. And based on the facts that I'm hearing, I can't find that. You don't have a warranty in an as-is used car sale, and my verdict in this case is for the defendant.
So the plaintiff fails in her attempt to recover $4,800 from the defendant. Ms. Taylor, let me ask you a question. What about the car? You still have the car, right? What are you going to do now?
It's just sitting in my backyard. It's just sitting.
Going to get it fixed?
I don't know.
Well, unfortunately, you're not getting your money back, and I can't help you there. The judge found for the defendant, so I'm sorry for you. Mr. Atek, I gotta tell you seem very upfront and forward with her.
Yes,
but you've done anything else for her?
Like I said, I did, said that I was willing to help her. I was willing to do a few things. I never agreed to doing the job for her, buying her a new transmission. I'm very understanding. I have a family of my own. I do understand her situation, and I not once turned my back on her. I could have been like anybody else and just blocked her phone number and lost contact with her, but I never did that. I was willing to help her until I got vulgar language, got constant threats, and was harassed. So after that, I just felt like, I'm not going to go out of my way to keep being a nice guy if I'm not getting the same in return.
That's certainly understandable. No question about it. What do you think, Harvey?
Doug, how many times do we have to talk about this? When you buy something from a private person, it is automatically an as-is sale, which means you take your chances unless you can prove fraud. And that's why in a private sale, if you really want to protect yourself, demand a warranty. And if they won't give you a warranty, that might even be a clue you shouldn't buy the product.
What's the last text message you sent each other? Do you know each other's passwords? Wow.
Yes, we do know each other's passwords.
I believe that is a secret to a happy marriage.
It's a part of it for sure.
Did you?
But
you
I happen to have your phone. I brought your phone out. You better have looked at that
to make sure that it's.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right, so
this better be okay.
That's the last text message I sent you.
My brother says, do not worry about the hearing aid. That is a large bone. She should be fine. And that's because my mother had a hearing aid put in.
Oh, yeah.
And inside the ear.
You were worried
because
about
she fusses with it.
I went to WebMD, which is my brother.
Your brother.
My brother Jimmy, who's a doctor, and he gave me some advice. I sent it
All right, so I see the last one I sent you.
Yeah, I can hold it up. Maybe you could shower? And then below that it says, if you are still at the hotel, can you bring meatballs? So yeah, we do. She's got my password, except for my burner phone, of course.
What burner phone?
Just kidding. I don't have a burner.
This is the plaintiff, Rachel Allen. She says she loaned the defendant her boat, and the careless guy didn't secure it properly to his dock, and the thing disappeared. The defendant promised to take good care of it. He sure didn't, and she's here suing him for the $500 she's definitely owed. This is the defendant, Fred Driller. He says the plaintiff stored her boat at his dock because she didn't have one and used to keep it in her backyard. Somehow the boat was stolen. She should call the cops about it and stop bothering him because he didn't steal it, and it's not his fault someone did. He's accused of banging up a boater.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
I had thought it was in his garage, but what he had done is his house is on Lake Mead. He had the boat setting on top of his dock unsecured.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says she loaned her boat to the defendant and the vessel just disappeared. But the defendant says the plaintiff stored her boat for 2 years and it was unfortunately stolen. It's the case of what the hell?
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Ms. Allen, you are suing, I guess, your former friend, Mr. Driller, for $500, a depreciated cost of a boat of yours that he had in his care that got stolen. Tell me what happened. Why was your boat in his possession?
Yes, Your Honor. To begin with, when I first met Fred, I was in my front yard with my dog, and he was out walking. He walked by, and he asked whether I was interested in selling my boat, and I told him that, no, I didn't want to sell it. I'm a native of St. James City from a commercial fishing family, and I had a specific use for it. I wanted to go back on the bays where I remember from the 50s and 60s. But he had a friend die recently, and I felt for him for that. I said, I'll loan you the boat, Fred. So I agreed to loan him the boat. And after I agreed to loan it to him, he said, why don't you just keep it at my house? I'm on the water, and it'll be easy to get into the water, and anytime you want it, you can pick it up. So I agreed to that, and I expressed to Fred at the time my concern about its safekeeping, because in my former home, I had been burglarized. Everything had been stolen from me.
So what agreement did you have with him about where your boat would be stored?
He said that he had space in his garage. He assured me that it would be safe.
Okay. So how long was your boat at his house?
About 2 years, to the best of my recollection.
Okay. Did you ever use it during those 2 years?
No, I didn't.
But the deal was that you could if you wanted to.
I could.
Okay. Yes. And when did you find out that the boat has been stolen?
It was on Saturday morning, the 19th
of
December, 2020.
Okay.
He said that he had the boat on his dock in the back, and someone had taken it. Well, I had thought it was in his garage, but what he had done is his house is on Lake Mead. He had the boat setting on top of his dock unsecured. And
how did you find that out?
He called me.
And he told
Saturday.
You?
Yes.
All right. So he tells you where it was when it was stolen, and what do you do?
Well, we first discussed insurance, and then we realized the deductible would have been more than the worth of the boat. And so I said, well, call the police and make a report. He said, no, don't call the police. That will ruin the reputation of the neighborhood. And he didn't want me to.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you call the police?
Yes.
And what happened?
Yes. Well, the police came out and made a report that night. And I just feel like any reasonable person, a normal thinking person, would know that if you take a boat weighing only 110 pounds and leave it unsecured, that in a high boat traffic area, that it would be very easy to move it, to steal it.
Let me ask you, Mr. Driller, what was it that happened? Let me hear your version.
I had known Rachel because I walk around the block. Now, I asked her if she wanted to sell it because I've been in my house since 2013, and that boat's been sitting there I don't know how many years and never moved. So she told me her story that when she wants to go to Pine Island and be like when she was a child. So I said, I have the dock, you have the boat. Why don't you leave the boat on my dock? And anytime you want, you could come over and use it. You don't even have to ask me.
She says that she asked you where you were going to store it and that you and she agreed that you would store it in the garage when you weren't using it.
My garage fit that boat one night that I put it in there when Hurricane Irma came. And that boat's been on my dock for over 3 years.
That wasn't my question. My question is, what was your agreement with her?
I was leaving it on the dock anytime she wanted to use it.
Well, did you secure it on the dock? Did you secure it or chain it with any kind of bicycle chain or anything? Did you secure it in any way on the dock?
It was tied to the dock. There's a post.
There's only two kinds of ways to do this. You either secure it with a lock or you don't, right? So you didn't secure it with a lock, and there was no problem with that until there was. Somebody stole the boat, right? You didn't sell the boat, did you?
No,
So somebody stole the boat. So she was right. It needed to be secured. So how do you figure, if you borrowed her boat, don't you have to exhibit some duty of care for it and secure it? And if you don't, isn't that on you? Aren't you supposed to return it in the condition that you borrowed it? Right. It's like I'm talking to my husband. It's literally like I'm talking to my husband. Because he has the same happy attitude, and then, and then he's shocked and appalled when something goes wrong.
Welcome back to the People's Court. So is the defendant liable here because someone stole the boat from his dock, or is this just a case where the plaintiff's out of luck? Let's listen.
Your Honor, I've had 3 boats since I've owned that house. Every one of them was on the dock. The person that sold me the house with a boat. He had it on the dock.
Either way, what happened to the boat?
Somebody, I guess, pulled it in the water and stole it. It was
right. So the boat got stolen. Was it secure on the dock, or did you just leave it on the dock without securing it?
It's been on the dock for 3 years, wrapped around the...
Right. It's like I'm talking to my husband. It's literally like I'm talking to my husband. Because he has the same happy attitude, and then, and then he's shocked and appalled when something goes wrong. Now, that's fine. There's a cost of doing business to that. If you don't want to be petrified and lock everything down all the time, which is the way I'm not going to live like that. Okay, so live like you're going to live. But then when it gets stolen, you can't say, oh, I have no responsibility in that. No, you made the decision not to secure someone else's boat. So you're going to have to pay the lady. Now, now we're done. New it cost how much, ma'am?
$740.
And you bought it new when?
End of 2015 or beginning of 2016.
The question is, when you lose, when somebody damages or loses something of yours, it's not replacement value, Ms. Allen, that you get. What you get is the depreciated value of the item at the time it was destroyed or stolen or went poof, okay? Because you got to use it or have it or own it for 6 years. So it's depreciated value at the time of the loss. I'm going to order the defendant to pay the plaintiff, but it's not going to be $500. I'm ordering him to pay you $370. That's my verdict. Good luck, folks.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails. She doesn't get the $500 she was seeking. She gets less than that. Mr. Driller, you wanted to say something to the judge just as the case ended? What did you want to say to her?
She never said in the garage, because my wife wouldn't let me keep the boat in the garage. There's no room in my garage for her boat. She's wrong in what she said about calling the police. I said, let's see if my insurance company will pay. Let's see if your insurance company will pay. Saturday night, her other half calls me up, who does not own the boat, has nothing to do with it, and says, call the police. I said, Steve, I will call the police if the insurance company covers it. If not, I'll do something. I arranged it with your wife. I spoke to her. She agreed. He called the police. My wife has cancer, and it was stolen December 5th. There was no COVID vaccines, and she has no immune system. So I didn't want nobody coming to my house. Of course, morally, I felt I would have given her like $200 because that's all the boat was worth. But that's okay.
So I gather the friendship is kaput. All right, let's find out from Ms. Allen how she feels. What do you think, Ms. Allen? Was it really worth suing him to end this friendship over a $500 boat you don't even use?
Apparently, there was no real friendship, and it was worth it.
It was worth it. That's the important thing to you.
Yes.
You don't get what you wanted, but you do get, you win. You get some money. All right, Ms. Allen, good luck to you. Harvey, how do you feel about this?
Doug, this is a case where the defendant has to use due diligence to store the boat. It means that you cannot be negligent. Because this area where the boat was stored was unsecured, that's negligence. You should protect it at the very least with a lock. By not having a lock on the boat, that means that the defendant did not exercise ordinary care that someone in his position would have exercised. As a result, the boat was stolen. It was stolen directly because there was no lock, and the defendant's liable.
If your life were a movie, what scene would you watch over and over again?
If my life were a movie, okay, I've had a few victories and a few, failures and disasters throughout my life like anybody else, but there's one moment that I would want to just relive over and over and over, and I could make the whole movie about it. It lasted about 30 seconds, okay? It's when our daughter, Alexandra, won the state championship in crew for the four-person boat.
Yeah.
For rowing, exactly, rowing. And just like running along the shoreline.
Running along.
It's in Bradenton, Florida, and watching the boats, and you're trying to keep up, and they're like, neck and neck, and then one pulls ahead, the other one back, and you just,
and
it's
all the
in
parents
doubt.
are running with them.
Right, it's in doubt till the last few seconds, then boom, they cross the finish line ahead.
Yeah, that was
oh my
something.
God, they're state champions.
That's going to do it for this session of the People's Court. We'll see you next time.